Hey everybody, welcome to Habitat Now. I'm your host Aaron Shea, and thank you for joining me today as we go over the upcoming MasterWorks auction. I feel like we've been doing a lot of these since the beginning of the pandemic, but it's a nice way to, kind of view the auction and talk about the pieces. And you are welcome to join me if you have any questions. These are always very informal. Um, this time we did not do an auction catalog, and there are a bunch of reasons why. Most of it is timing. Um, because of the shortage of supplies, shipping and mailing has slowed down, providing paper has slowed down. So it just became super difficult. And we figured we would take that money that we usually invest in mailing and put it into the auction system to see if it's worthwhile to just get the word out there of the artwork we know and love. So I'm going to share my screen and show you the way the auction is online. The entire auction is on habitatglass.com, and that's just a quick click through place to find our auction online right here on Live Auctioneers. So you can see all the works and all the details, and everything's up there. There's 45 pieces. These last 5 are just fillers because they require a minimum of 50 pieces. So ignore the last 5. You bet on those, you're not going to win because there's nothing there. We'll kick over to the presentation now. If I'm on the right sheet, and there we go. And take a quick glimpse at what's at the auction block. So our upcoming internationals this month, time flies. We're celebrating the 50th International and the Year of Glass all at once. And there are some incredible works coming in for the show, some of the best I've ever seen. And you're invited to come visit us at the end of April for the VIP weekend. Should that not work out, come visit us after. The show will be up for a couple months, and I'd love to take you around for a personal tour myself. Corey will be around, Ferd here and there, so feel free to contact us anytime. This is a stunning Wolfer Grutens that's coming in. It probably has arrived already. And there's the URL to RSVP for the weekend. It's habitat.com/RSVP. We're going to be creating, oops, I went too far, a online presentation, somewhat similar to what we did in the past, but it will be all on habitat.com. You'll see a list of artists, and when you click their image, you'll see what they have in the international. It just made a lot more sense to keep everything in one place rather than creating glass50.com this year. We're going to be visiting the JCC, the Jewish Community Center, for the Jer's Chera Gallery locally here during our weekend. And we're also going to be doing a home tour in Toledo for Diane Phillips, who gave us the honor of visiting our home. But the original glass exhibition is all Michigan and Ohio-based artists. It's an incredible show. We sponsored it and gave away 3 awards. There's some amazing talent in there, and it's going to be great to go see it. They do this, I think, every other year. So here we go at the auction. So 45 pieces from a variety of estates, and I'll do my best to talk about all of them. And some I know more about than others. Some are, it's interesting to see people who collected exclusively regionally, and there's a couple pieces in here that were collected from artists I didn't really know about until this auction. I may have heard of them a little bit, but overall, it's great to see quite a variety. So like I said, you can bid with me today or on liveauctioneers.com. I'll talk about the premiums at the end of the auction. And the best way to do that is obviously with me here at the gallery if you're interested in any pieces. So these are always in demand, these John Littleton, Kate Vogel bag explosion pieces. I believe this one was from the Den collection, David and Joanne, that were local here in Michigan. So we went over and handpicked this piece up. Very colorful. I've seen pieces in this body of work that are older, where they have very subtle color, maybe one bag. But this looks like a late age piece from this body of work. It is beautiful, colorful, and in perfect condition. I suspect this will be gain a lot of attention. I put some stars in the upper right-hand corner for pieces I think that people should keep their eyes on. And the reason why is they're going to be sold probably under the money because they're not as fancy as William Morris or Chihuly, but I think they should be getting some attention because they're going to be sold at a great price. For example, is this Susan Taylor Glasgow Chalice piece. It's an earlier series by the artist, and this thing is massive. It's 26 inches tall, so it's much larger than it looks on the screen. I see it in the gallery, and it's just staggeringly large. Subtle color to the piece, very peaceful. She'll be at the show. I'm eager to hear more about this Chalice series, but the scale is very impressive for her work. She usually does the chandeliers with the birds, or the chandeliers, the corsets. This is a new body of work to me. for me. We did a talk with her too during the pandemic that you can check out and learn more about her work if you missed it. Very feminine, very powerful. Oh, look at the text is off this one. Well, anyway, it's a Kate Rhodes piece, freestanding sculpture. It's quite big too. I think it's about 22 inches tall and has that stand. It's mounted to the piece. And many of you know her work, but for those of you that don't, she makes these, for lack of a better term, flame worked bolts and circles that are all weaved together with copper. And she's inspired by the sea and the ocean. And this is kind of an interesting piece because it's more of a mute tone. But it is very beautiful. This is an interesting story. This was a piece from the Menning collection that we were selling recently, and the sale fell through. So we figured we'd give our clients an opportunity to buy an amazing Martin Yatsky piece at a great price. This is from his Hero series. Many of you know Martin. He's one of the most talented artists in the new generation of glass workers and artists. And he, obviously from Czech Republic, they're usually known for casting. But he studied under William Morris, and he learned all the techniques and now is the rock star of the glass art community. And this was from a very popular series he did in the early 2013s, 12, 10s. And people really loved the motion and the emotion, but also the colorful shirt and the body tones. And as time went by, he dabbled in other bodies of work, but I'm still a big fan of his Hero series, especially when they have the color to them. This is a piece, it's a long time coming. It's an interesting story about this piece. It is very large. It's probably one of the biggest Yamano salad bowls I've ever seen. It's 13 inches wide, 19 inches tall, and has this huge, ginormous fish hanging off the side. So when we got this piece, the fish, like many Yamano pieces, had the fin damaged. So we sent the big fish to Hiroshi Yamano off back to Japan. And we do this quite often because the fish fins are usually, it even happened to my piece. I have a piece of his work and I broke the fin off about moving it across the table, and he was able to restore it back to brand new condition and put it back together. It was just a big one. So now it's in perfect condition, repaired by the artist, restored by the artist. Beautiful foils to it. It is a true masterpiece. I would say it's museum quality by far. It's great that Hiroshi is great to work with too. If you ever had a chance to talk and meet with him, he's one of the nicest. William Morris artifact tooth. He's got a lot of attention at auction lately. And doing my research for this piece, I guess there was some kind of fundraiser that happened a while ago at a museum. I'm going to speak off the cuff. I think it was maybe the Chrysler or something. And they sold pieces very similar to this, but they were about 15 inches wide. And you can see them on Live Auctioneers, 2 sold, but they were much smaller. This one is 21.5 inches wide. It is a huge piece of art. And that tooth, which sticks through the piece, actually is loose, and it goes through it to hold the piece up. Amazing detail on the work. It is a great example of the work by William Morris without getting into his more elaborate, sarcophaguses and other pieces that he makes. I'm a real big fan of this piece, and it's really well done. I think I took another shot of this, or Andrew did, just to show you the hollowness of the side and the other side of the bone, the tooth, but it's in perfect shape. And this was also picked up by us from a local client here in Michigan, who's slowly deaccessioning their collection. Many of you might know Katrina Weintraub. She is extremely talented, and as a lamp worker and glass blower, we've had her in the Pop and Lock show. We've had her in the Not Grandma's Glass show. We're big fans of her work. And as of late, she's been doing these big polka dot bunnies. I own one. I got one for my wife for our wedding anniversary. And this was her older series, and it's about the past and new life. So this was somebody's toy bunny, and it has been let go, but in its style of being let go, it has found new life where wherever it is now, it has plants growing out of it. So life continues for this object without its original owner. And it's just very peaceful. And it's all, the bunny's all solid. I think there's cotton in the side, and these unique flowers kind of stick in and poke in and mount in a way. And she does mushrooms and stuff too. And this piece was actually owned by my grandmother for years, and their family's now deaccessioning their collection. I'm a big fan of this piece. Many of you know John Miller from Illinois. Does fast food. We've been doing a lot of his limiteds lately, selling, I think we did the burger or the fries, onion rings and a fountain Coke and probably something else. And I'll tell you next, he's doing some chicken wings, but don't tell anybody. It's gonna be kind of fun. But this is a rarity. This is a gold-plated burger he made, and it's quite large at 10 by 10. So we'll see. You know, I'm a big fan of John. He's a great guy, and this is a really substantial piece of his work. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this one ends up. And I'm looking forward to seeing it in person. It hasn't here yet. Hopefully, it'll arrive soon. Ethan Stern. We have two Ethan Sterns in the auction. They're both quite different from each other. This one kind of has a ethereal landscape ice age feel to it. If you follow him, he's in a lot of museums and institutions now. He's a very hardworking artist. This is probably a mold blown piece, and it's quite stunning and colorful. And I'm a big fan of Ethan's work. We have showed him in the National, though it's been a while. And the next piece you'll see down the road of this talk, it's a brown piece. So pick which one you like. Paul Schweiter. I'm a big fan of Paul's. We've had him in the International before. I mean, look at that thing. That's all carved, cold carved out of glass. And the amount of patience that it takes and perfectionism it takes to get something like that done is incredible. And they're quite solid pieces. We've had a few through the gallery over the years. And I talked to him. I'm trying to get his work in for the International. And during the pandemic, he built a new house and he's moving and changing studios. So more power to him, trying to get reset during this awkward time. But this piece is at auction, and it is quite a nice work. So this is a piece called Loss by Janusz Wallentinowitz. I want to clarify that I'm not sure this is the exact piece we have. I have to double check, because he made an edition of 5 of these, and the coloring is different on the toys and the circles. And it's a very powerful piece. Being called Loss, you kind of assume that somebody's thinking of the past and something happened while being in a children's room. Janusz is such a moving creator, and the subtle eye, it seems like a joyous piece, but taking a second take, you have to really think about it. I'm not sure. I'll double check to make sure the one we have is very similar, but this is not it. I think ours is just a little different, but I'll be checking that this week. A masterpiece by the legend Howard Bentry, who passed away the last couple of years. This was originally sold at Habitat, giant bench. There's one very similar to it in the Imagine Museum in Florida. It is granite and cast glass, and it is museum quality. It's priced really well, and it does have its own crate. We had the seller actually build a crate for the piece. So I'm really excited to actually have this in the auction. Hopefully we'll find a great home. So this brings us to Tom Petty. I'm sure many of you know Tom Petty's work. It's a very interesting story. And his work was sold in the 80s and 90s, and it used to be sold by the ounce. And they were very expensive in the era. And now you can get one for a pretty good deal if you're looking for them. People really love the work because of the history of the artist and the era he was in. And he makes different kinds of pieces. This is a very staple form for Tom Petty. That's why I wanted it in the auction, because it's easily recognizable as one of Tom Petty's pieces, and it's a very nice treasure, and it's priced really right. Something different. I kind of zoomed in a little bit, which didn't work very well on the right side there for this classic, or this interesting Dom table. So this was part of the Michael and Annie Belkin collection, and it's cast glass, and I think it has these bronze or copper frogs on it. Very fun piece. It does come with a glass topper, and it would be a nice piece to talk about anybody's home should you have the space. Nature inspired the piece, and lots of detail for this beautiful work. Carla Trinkley. We've had a couple in our last auction. This is also from the Belkin collection, a pot de verre process of glass and different colors putting together this piece. Just an overall classic example with these interesting hands and details to the work. Magical with light, though. If you light this thing from the top, it really starts to glow because it has a texture on it that really absorbs the light and pops it back at you, because it's not just clear and it's not so thick that you can't see through it. but the dimensions are wrong. It's 20 inches tall, but it is a great work by the artist. Lucio Babacco. Everybody knows Lucio is a master from Italy, self-taught lamp worker, one of the best on the planet. So this was also from my grandmother's collection, and the estate is selling it. I mean, you look at the detail on the top of that vessel of the gold. It's like fish up there, the hands of the I guess devils, lobsters hanging. It's just a stunning work. This is the kind of work you can enjoy forever. And this obviously is I can't even count how many people are on that thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least. But a great example of Lucio's work, and I'm a big fan of his as well. We got a couple Paul Stankards in this auction, different variety of size and scale. So this one was at auction before and it passed. So we're trying again at a lower price. That's what you do at auctions. And this is a 5 by 5 inch sphere. So it's bigger. His usual size is technically 4 by 4 by 4. So it's slightly larger than his usual paperweight size. Comes with a ring on the bottom, has some beautiful details to it. We'll find a home. It is priced really well, and I'm a big fan of Paul's. This is the cover piece for the auction. It's definitely a masterpiece by Paul. He does not work in the scale anymore. This was personally owned by Michael and Annie Belkin, and they had an interesting relationship, which we've covered, but I'll reiterate that when Paul made a masterpiece, he would call Michael on the phone and said, come take a look at this. You got to see this thing. And Michael would come and buy him many years ago. And this thing is 7 3/4 inches tall. So it is quite an impressive work. Definitely a museum quality. Another star on that one. And then we get to a Chihuly. We have a subtle, small Chihuly early edition in this auction, circa 2000. I believe it's signed by Chihuly, which is interesting because I don't think many of the editions are signed. The later ones are just numbered. This one's numbered PP00, which I'm guessing stands for Portland Press 2000. 6 and change, big, beautiful little example of his work, very colorful. Chihuly's the name to have in your auction if you want people to come find you. Joe Philip Myers, another star, another under the money artist that should be looked at heavily because he is a huge part of the contemporary glass story. And this is a big piece at 11 inches tall. Usually these pieces are smaller and has some beautiful colors to it. I love Joel's work. Some of them can be, simple, and some can be more elaborate. This is a more elaborate piece. This is what I was talking about mostly with artists that I've never really heard of that are kind of local. And I believe, off the top of my head, I think it's North Carolina. The artist has kind of lived their entire life and taught and had probably opened a gallery and retired. And this was an artist, a client here in Michigan that owned this piece. And it's definitely mixed media. And it's very, very interesting. And I'm looking forward to learning more about this piece. Though I tried to look up the artist and do some research, do my due diligence. There wasn't much out there, but there's other works that are similar to this. So I believe the glass element is only in that bottle form with the color in it, and the rest is metal and steel. And this sat in front of the client's house. And this client actually lived like 2 minutes from me around the block. And we were able to go over and pick up a bunch of the work from their home that they were selling. The daughter was there. And so it was fun to see us in the front hall. And there's another piece that's in this collection too that was from the same collection I'll show you soon. Emily Brock, many of you are aware of her work. She's done maybe 40 years now, been creating these beautiful, like I call them doll houses, but adult doll houses. This one is a music theme one. Should you have a desire, this is a rare opportunity to get a piece like this, a newer one. This is from 2014. What's great about her work too, you could be staring at the work for years and all of a sudden discover something new, like the glasses on the piano or a musical note hidden underneath the paper. Her work is just so much fun and she's great. This is an interesting too. Rob Snyder from Seattle, he does bird installations and installations of animals in people's homes. This particular one was a commission that was here in Royal Oak or Birmingham, Michigan. It's 48 inches wide once installed. So each bird doesn't really have a specific place it goes as long as it's in an entire circle. Though technically, if you want it, you could put them across your house, across your banister, whatever you feel like doing. But it's a lot of fun to see something like this come up because there's so much play with this work. And he's still working today. I just saw a post on Facebook where he was stacking glass twigs up and high like a teepee. So it's nice to see Rob's still working today. Another treasure in our auction. This is a giant torso by Martin Blank, picked up locally here about, maybe it's about an hour north of Lansing. Another collector is slowly deaccessioning, and Corey went up there and picked some things out for the auction. This thing is 23¼ inches tall, and he's well known for, he's an amazing artist, but he's well known for his torsos and his pedals and his installation work. And this is just a bigger masterpiece from the torso series. And it throws back to ancient Rome when artists create, and it's all about the form and the notation versus the actual physical person. That's why there aren't heads. And it is a beauty. It is absolutely a beauty. Berto Vallin's work. This was supposed to be in a previous auction, and I couldn't get my hands on it. It's trapped in the Imagine Museum because we loaned them a bunch of artworks, and we finally have it back. We put it on display during our Glass Coast weekend, and now that I have it back in the gallery, I can put it in the auction. A little nice, beautiful treasure, different than what you normally see from Berto's work. Usually he has an end that's clear, there's a lot going on. This is a more simple piece. Could be a meteor or some kind of frozen treasure hidden inside of his sand cast creation. You can see along the bottom of the piece is this black and white, for lack of a better term, line. And that's a really good way to find out if the work has been repaired, if that line has been affected at all. If it's been chipped and someone polished it down, you'll be able to see the line modified in some shape or form. But this work is in great shape and priced really well. Tomas Avicika, who is the nephew of Pavel Halava, one of the early glass movement artists in the Czech Republic. This is his nephew, who spent years as an architect and retired, and was making glass for, I think, a decade and a half, if not more. This is an incredible opportunity to get a large scale vase. This piece is called Drum by the artist, and it is an impressive work. And what's interesting is when this work is actually heated and infused, the gold you see is actually silver. And during the fusing process, it turns gold. And when Tomas uses gold, it turns silver in color. So it's very interesting to see and know that small hint of knowledge. But at 15, almost 16 inches tall, it is a true treasure. We're going to have a few William Morris vessels in our upcoming auctions. I think I got a few of them coming in, but I picked a really nice one. And this is another great piece to keep your eye on because there's a lot of William Morris vessels out there. He has different series from the early works, but this one is just extremely nice with these color pickups on the glass. As many of you know, he has the piece you saw earlier. There's later body of works that have received more attention, but these William Morris vessel forms are great to acquire because of the name, and they are quite stunning too. So keep your eyes on these kind of works from now into the future. Colin Reed, this was a interesting sculpture we picked up from the Den collection. It's kind of different from his different bodies of works. Many of you know his reflective series, or he does the different lines of fused glass that look like they go from clear to white to clear to red or clear to blue. But this is kind of an interesting piece. I'm guessing it was molded off of some kind of form or rock, and the top of it was completely flat after creating the mold. So he decided to carve a lens in the piece. It's quite substantial at 26 inches wide, and it is quite a marvel. So I hope it finds a home. We've had some Danny Perkins in our last auction. We just got this new one in that's 45 inches tall, from 91. Very interesting to see the different kind of plinths he did on his works over the years. This one's very, very nice and in fine condition. And if you're looking for a Danny Perkins, I would recommend this one for you. This is the other piece I was talking about from the collection that lives about the clients that lives about a minute and a half from me. Thomas Schoon. They were very motivated to sell the piece. So it's like this piece normally would be about $32,000 retail. And I think we have a starting estimate really low, maybe under 5 or 6,000. So we're hoping to find this piece a home. A museum quality example of Thomas Schoon's work at 57 inches tall. It assembles, so it comes apart into pieces, and then you build it in place on site. We actually had a client who has one nearby that was going to redo her wood floors. So we came by and took it apart for her, and she replaced her floor. We put it back together for her. So easy enough if you once you have all the instructions. A big Levinsky piece, free through. We've had this one at auction in the past too. We sold a couple Levinskys as of late, and there's a big Levinsky show, as many of you know, at Heller's right now. This piece is priced way more competitively than the other ones I've seen out there. Huge, substantial work. It's in Levinsky's favorite color, which is gray. It is an incredible work made before the professor died, I believe. So I think he died in 2001. Definitely worth seeing, definitely worth acquiring. Here's a fun one. We have 3 smaller Paul Stankard works from different eras, but somewhat similar. And I figured it'd be really interesting to put a set together, blue, pink, and clear. And the piece in the middle was loaned to the Huntington Museum in 1995 for an exhibition they had there. A lot of their works have provenance that were loaned to different museums, usually around the Ohio area, but some have gone farther away. And each one is a true treasure, and someone will get all 3 for the price of 1. Sonia Blumenthal, a beautiful vessel form. She's really known for her colors and her technique. It is a marvel, and this piece is just gorgeous. If you like her work, this would definitely be a piece to acquire. Here's the other Ethan Stern, different than the blue one you saw earlier. And Paul mentioned that he blows and flattens the pieces with paddles and carves away the work to gives the tone and the coloring, which makes a lot of sense. And this piece is just another stunner by the artist, different era or similar eras in the previous piece, but has a different look entirely. And I'm a big fan of the work. And if you don't like the blues, this is the one for you. This is the father-in-law of the Thomas Avicika piece I showed you earlier, the gold cylinder. This is an incredibly large 22.5-inch by 15-inch sculpture by Pavel Halava. He is an incredible piece of the history of studio glass, and it's definitely a museum quality piece. It was very, very large. And this particular work was owned by an art dealer who lives in Canada and is slowly deaccessioning pieces, and it was a great opportunity to put this piece at auction. Another opportunity to acquire a Paul Stankard piece that is not round, and a rare opportunity to get a cuboid type of piece. At 6 3/4 inches tall, it is extremely nice. But if you're looking for another museum quality Paul Stankard work, this one will be for you too. He is just incredible. Shelly Allen. This is a rare opportunity to get a masterpiece by Shelly. So we actually sold this piece back when it was new, and the client is reselling it to buy something else. And so we brought it down to our Glass Coast weekend, but we kind of hid it in a room, and now we have it out for everybody to see at during our auction. And it would be an amazing opportunity to get a massive Shelly Allen piece for a really great price. Huge fan of her work and of her. A wall-mounted Richard Jolly piece. I've never really seen one like this before, called Still Life with Portrait. It's a little bigger than you imagine. It's about 10.5 inches tall and fits on the wall with some kind of hook or something. Very simple, very fun, beautiful apples, beautiful visions in fish. Have you ever seen Richard Jolly do some sketches and drawings? He sends me holiday cards every year via phone of some kind of drawing. It looks very similar in style and color. Just an overall wonderful piece by Richard. Robert Mickelson, who's so well known in the functional community, but also well known in the art community. An early sculpture by him that is not functional, like a chalice of some sort. I figured it'd be fun to incorporate one of these in the auction to see if people who enjoy Robert Mickelson's work would be drawn to not only this piece, but our auction. Beautiful colors. It's 2-part, comes together. Jose Chartier from, looks like, yep, Cuba. We have some of his new work. He has a whole new body of work coming in for our international. But we have a very simple golden horn that's going to be in this auction. Very beautiful piece, easily manageable. 2 pieces that's assembled together. And it's just an overall beautiful piece. And it's covered in gold foil. Just a stunner. And I thought it'd be fun to put in this auction. Another work by Berta Bellina, a Watcher series piece at 36 inches tall. It's 3 feet tall and it's quite a masterpiece. Comes with a stand. I don't know if it's fully mounted at all times, but I'm guessing it probably is. And if you've seen these works, they can be very beautiful and ominous, but he's really well known for these works, as well as his boats and his Janusz heads. And it's rare we have these for auction, so I'm happy we have it. Something fun, another local piece. This was bought by some clients who lived in Michigan, but they lived right above Ohio. And this is a sculpture collaboration by Albert Young and Bill Posetta. And I Googled this and saw other works that they worked on together, probably at the same time. And this was acquired from actually the Toledo Museum of Art. They must have been doing a fundraiser or something. And it's 2 separate pieces where Albert Young, who's a local artist here in Michigan, made the steel part of it, and Bill Posetta made the blown vessel part that sticks right in. It's kind of a nice piece, and it comes with that base, and it's very, very interesting. And it is indoor because of the glass. Robin Grieve, who I'm a big fan of, who makes very powerful works, and I'd love for her to make more. I'm trying so hard to get her to do an exhibition with us. A torso, somewhat colorful in the green tone, and very, very from that era. She was working in the late 90s. This is one of the first exhibitions I saw as a kid at Habitat Galleries when they had a Robin Grieve show. And my stepfather, Ferdinand, actually bought my mom a Robin Grieve from the show that I grew up with. 3 different, I guess they're trees of different sorts with different animals around them. It's kind of fun, and I've loved her work ever since. This Toland Sands work is the one behind me. You can see I'm using like a moon here. It is a beautiful sphere, and 9 by 9 by 9 inches tall. It is one of probably one of the nicest pieces I've seen Toland create. And this was in a collection since it was new in 2005, and we just got it into the gallery, and we're doing a 360 video of not only this piece, but a lot of the pieces to put up online to give 360s of. But it is just a beautiful, beautiful work by Toland, and I'm sure it will find a great home. Another star there. And that brings us to our finale piece, which is our Harvey Littleton 2-part piece. It is absolutely beautiful, this work. It's rare to see one like this that actually goes down instead of up. You've seen a lot of the rocker pieces. 2-part piece, always get together. It was owned by the original owner. This is the same collection of the art dealer who lives in Canada, who's slowly selling his personal collection. So we're honored to have it in the show, and we're working on a secondary picture. I think I have it here, so you can see it from the other side. Just something fun of this, important work by an important artist, celebrating his legacy and hopefully we'll find a home. So that wraps up the imagery. I'll just go over a little bit of the red tape where the ways of buying are explained. You could buy online right now, bid online with the highest premium, which is the amount you pay on top of the hammer. So 25% is via live auctioneers because of all the systems that cost money to use, credit card and the auction online system. If you bid with Habitat, like you place a silent bid or a phone bid with me, if you pay by credit card, it's 20%. But if you pay by check or wire, it drops down to 16% premium, which I recommend you do. Reach out to me, contact me. I'll put this video up on YouTube. If you have any questions after this particular video, you can always contact me for details and to place bids on any of the beautiful things you've just seen. Like I said, there is no physical catalog, so look at the pages online on the Live Auctioneer site. If you are coming in for the show, we'll have handouts for the auction, so you can follow along if you're at the auction, but it should be a lot of fun. And this will, again, will be taking place on April 28th at 7:15 p.m. Here in Royal Oak. So I hope to see many of you then, if you are around. If not, we'll see you in the digital. And I want to wish you all a great, happy weekend. And it's my son's first birthday. We're going to be celebrating tomorrow, and I'll be thinking of you. It should be a wild time. It's going to be cake and like cupcakes and food and pizza. The family, it's going to be great. So thanks again for joining me today, and I hope you have a great weekend. If you have any questions, like I said, Aaron Habitat, or you have my cell phone, you contact me at the gallery. I'm always around. Be well, everybody. Take care.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Steve. You too. Bye, Karen. Bye, everybody. See you, Myra.